Hi everyone, this is Lechaman here again. I just want to thank y'all for subscribing to me, and if you could leave any comments below, uh, give me any suggestions for the next video. Well, without further ado, this is the one story for the day, and it's called Miss Willisons Homemade Jam. As a child, I was a picky eater, like I assume most children are. As my parents tell it, my eating habits transcended normal childhood proclamations of "I don't like broccoli" and involved a refusal to eat absolutely anything of substance. Things other children might eat and enjoy, like chicken nuggets, spaghetti, or even hot dog, were shunned by toddler me. It got to the point, they say, where the pediatrician became concerned for my health. I stopped growing properly, falling well below the typical percentiles for children's height and weight, and the rest of my development seemed stunted as a result. Phrases were tossed around like failure to thrive and to feed. In the end, my parents were forced to feed me calorie-loaded milkshakes made with nutrient-enriched formula every night, and it did gain weight. Honestly, I don't know how they put up with it. I sounded like I was a little shit. The milkshake regime extended past toddlerhood into childhood. At 5 years old, I was still refusing to eat food. Despite the countless nights my parents sent me to bed hungry, refusing to even try my dinner. I was still small for my age and spent more than a little time in the hospital due to starvation. My parents would later tell me that they were sure I would be taken away by the state because of how small I appeared. Thankfully, they were in constant contact with doctors who monitored the situation, so there was an undeniable truth that my case wasn't due to neglect. At 6 years old, when I should have been starting school, I was still a small kid. My body never received enough nutrients to properly grow. Despite my forced feedings, as a result, my speech and physical movements were stunted, leaving me a 6-year-old that behaved more like a 3-year-old. Again, I don't know how my parents coped. I can remember the day I discovered a food I actually liked. It was September 22nd, 1997. I was at a grocery store with my mother, sitting in the child seat of the cart because my frail legs couldn't handle walking for too long. Mother looked tired and weary. I remember staring at the deep lines that seemed etched in her face as she pushed the cart silently to a small store in an attempt to find something, anything that could tempt me to eat. And then I saw it. A jar of jam. I tried jam before and hated the texture, the stickiness, the overwhelming sweetness. Just vile. But this jar, it seemed different to my 6-year-old mind. I pointed it out to my mother. My bony finger extended to the glass jar with a plain white label that read, "Miss Willisons Homemade Jam." "What, sweetie? What do you see?" My mother's voice was almost as weary as her face, as her eyes followed my outstretched hand. When her gaze landed on the jar, her head snapped back towards me like it was elasticated. "You want that, Marky?" The excitement in her voice was barely contained. "You want to try that?" I nodded my head. My mother grabbed a jar of jam off the shelf faster than I'd ever seen her move before. She even smiled. I couldn't remember the last time I saw her do that. We paid for the jam and left the store without so much as bothering to shop for the rest of our groceries. My mother hurried me onto the cart, excitedly strapping me into my seat before placing the jar of jam in front of me. Almost reverently. This was the first time I was actually showing interest in food. She was thrilled. The town I grew up in was small, populated by a mere 350 people. The drive from the grocery store to my house took under 5 minutes. Really, we could have walked if I wasn't so frail. When we got home, Mother excitedly ushered me into the house with a jar of jam tightly in her hand. Immediately, she sat me at the table as if she were afraid I'd suddenly change my mind and refuse to try what I had picked out. But my mind and gaze were focused on that jar. And it looked like the other jams I had tried. It didn't seem lumpy or thick. There were no seeds. Something about it intrigued my dull little mind, even though I can't explain what it was. Even now. "Here, Marky, you want to try this?" My mother held out a spoon laden with jam. It was a deep red and seemed to glisten through the kitchen lighting. I remember taking the spoon carefully and raising it to my face, peering at it closely. Anxiously, my mother waited. Slowly, my tongue darted out to taste it. I can't even describe to you what the first taste was like. Imagine the most amazing thing you've ever eaten, coupled with the most euphoric you've ever felt, and that would get you close to what the experience of tasting that jam was for me. I ate everything off the spoon in seconds, silently, asked for more. My mother, with tears in her eyes, handed me another spoonful, which I lapped up eagerly. After the fifth spoonful, my mother was openly sobbing and dashing for the phone to call my father and tell him the news. Meanwhile, I remained entranced by the jam. As a child, I wouldn't have been able to describe the taste to you, my palate being limited as it was, but as an adult, I can tell you that it's a deep, rich flavor, combination of sweet and savory that was perfectly balanced. It didn't taste like strawberries or raspberries, but a combination of the two mixed with some sort of saltiness that seemed to heighten it. I suppose it's a lot like how some people like salted caramel, the combination of sweet and salty. It was pure bliss. My father stopped by the grocery store on his way home from work and bought another jar. And so for the next 2 weeks, that became the only thing I ate. I would have jam for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, followed by enhanced milkshakes in the evening. My parents were thrilled. They hoped that my sudden liking of the sweet would lead me to like other foods too. Then one day, when Mother and I went to the grocery store to buy more of the jam, we found a spot on the shelf where it usually sat. It was empty. Mother, slightly panicked, rushed to the front of the store, asked the clerk if they had any more of Miss Willisons Homemade Jam. "Sorry, we're all out right now." My mother's face fell and she threw a worried glance at my direction. "When will you get more?" The clerk scratched his beard thoughtfully. "Well, see, it's actually made by a local lady, Miss Wilson. She sold it to Hector to resell in the store. She said she only had so many jars available. No one else seems to like it but your boy there." I was beginning to grow irritable from being in the cart and not having had jam for lunch. My fussing drew Mother's attention as she stared at me worriedly. "Is there any way I can get Miss Wilson's address or phone number? That jam is the only thing Mark will eat." Like in most small towns, everyone knows the business of everyone else, so the clerk was aware of my parents' struggle in getting me to eat. He must have felt sympathetic towards my mother's sudden stress, because he searched in the back office for the invoice that held Miss Wilson's address. That afternoon, Mother and I sought out the elusive jam maker. She lived in a cottage on the outskirts of town in a gingerbread house style house that would be described as idyllic nowadays. When Mother knocked at the door, a young woman answered. She was small, with blonde hair, and a tight bun, and a sad face. "Can I help you?" Her voice was soft, and years later, Mother would tell me that there was something about Miss Wilson that was so dejected and forlorn. But desperation is a wonderful motivator. Mother wanted me to keep eating, so she pasted on a smile and explained the situation to the young woman at the door. "Oh, that is so wonderful," Miss Wilson exclaimed, smiling for the first time since she came to the door. "I am so happy he likes it. It's an old family recipe, and when Hector said it wasn't selling well, I thought maybe I'd messed up the batch." My mother asked if Miss Wilson had any more jam, and with a smile, the woman retreated into her house and returned a moment later with a box. "This is the last of it. I've kept a few jars myself, but since it seemed so unpopular, I didn't think I was going to make another batch." "This is amazing," Mother said, seeming to sag underneath the weight of the box and the relief she felt. "I don't know what it is about the jam, but he loves it so much." Miss Wilson laughed. "I'm just glad I didn't mess it up, like I was thinking I had." My mother offered to pay the other, but she refused, saying that seeing someone else enjoy her creation was payment enough. We left with a dozen jars. We managed to stress those out for several months, though I hated having to ration my precious confection. One day, a few weeks later, I had turned 7. We saw Miss Wilson in town. She waved a cheery greeting to my mother and followed her way over, her round, protruding stomach, making her slightly off balance. "Congratulations!" Mother exclaimed. When they drew near, Miss Wilson thanked her and rubbed her stomach. I stood there wondering if she had any more jam to give. "I haven't made any recently," she said in answer to my brisk question. "But maybe soon." I was annoyed, but resigned. My mother was just happy I was finally starting to act like a normal kid who ate and talked. So what if all I ate was jam, she thought. At least I was eating. A few more weeks passed, and we ran out of jam. The grocery store no longer stocked it, so Mother and I had to make a visit to Miss Wilson. When she answered the door, I noticed her stomach wasn't round anymore. She was once again looking sad. She invited us in, the offer of jam having me run into the house before my mother had a chance to reply. I sat patiently at her round kitchen table. She spread jam onto slices of bread. My mother watched in earnest as I looked at the bread suspiciously before picking it up in the building. To my relief, the sweet, savory taste of jam overpowered the bread taste, and I greedily ate it down. My mother sagged in relief, seeing this as another victory in the battle of my eating habits. I ate several more pieces of bread with jam while Miss Wilson and Mother talked. I ignored the conversation in favor of eating my treat, occasionally catching words like stillborn and devastated, but paying no mind. Before we left, my mother hugged Miss Wilson tightly. She didn't have any jam to give me that day, but promised me soon. I left with a full belly and the anticipation of more of my sweet treats soon. For years, this pattern went on. Mother and Miss Wilson developed a sort of friendship. When we would go visit her for a few months, we would sit at Miss Wilson's kitchen table and talk while I ate jam. Eventually, Mother began putting the jam on other foods to see if I would eat them. I tried chicken, beef, bananas, and apples, all smothered in my delicious jam, and ate every bit. Mother and Father practically sobbed in relief. By the time I was 12, I was eating more foods, but still relied on jam. If I didn't have jam liberally coating it, then I wouldn't have tried out. The jam seemed to mask every other flavor, and I used it like other people use ketchup or gravy. And this time, Miss Wilson seemed to age quickly, and her production of the jam slowed. She told me and Mother that it was hard on her body making the jam. It was a long process and very labor-intensive. I worried about the day when she may no longer make it for me, but she simply patted my head and told me that she'd make it as long as I wanted. I smiled. By the time I was 18, I was better with food, but still hated the taste and texture of it. Miss Wilson's jam was the only food I ever actually liked or wanted to eat on my own accord. She still supplied me with it. The frequency of batches lessened to only once a year or more. When I finally got those jars of rich red goodness, I was thrilled. After high school was over, I moved away for college, but every time I returned home, I made sure to stop in and visit Miss Wilson. She seemed to grow lonely as she aged, and I often wondered where her husband was, or if she even had one. When asked what she did for work, she said she just was in the business of making people happy. I wasn't sure what that meant, but figured it had to do something with the amazing jam. During my visits, we'd talk and catch up, and she would always send me home with jars of jam. I rationed those out back at the university, where I was old enough now to know that I needed to eat, but still stubborn enough to hate food besides jam. More years passed. Despite my unusual tendencies as a child, I grew into a rather successful and normal businessman. I work in data entry, which is as boring as it sounds, and am married to a wonderful woman who at first was annoyed with my weird food habits, but came to accept it. Doesn't matter what it is, I just don't like food. I never, and likely will never eat food for the joy of it, unless we count jam, of course. My wife doesn't like it, but she's used to it now, I think. A few weeks ago, we returned to my home to visit my parents. As I've been doing for years, I made a point to visit Miss Wilson. She's older now, and time has been unkind to her. Her body seems frail, as if she has carried heavy burdens for years. She no longer stands upright, but she still smiled when she saw me, and smiled even wider when she met my wife. We had a nice visit, her getting to know my wife and catching up on what had been happening in life. Just before I left, she gave me a box of jam. "I'm afraid this is it, Mark, dear." Her voice sounded as frail as her body looked, and for the first time, the idea that I could lose Miss Wilson popped into my head. Even though she was only in her 50s, she seemed much older. She'd been part of my life for so long now, I couldn't imagine no longer being able to see her. "I'm too old for making jam now," she said with a sigh. "My body, it just won't allow it. These things happen. Best to leave it to those young ones." She smiled weakly, but I could tell she was sad. Tears pricked my eyes as I set the box of jam on the ground and wrapped her frail body in a tight hug. "Thank you for sharing your jam with me, for as long as you have," I said, and I kissed her forehead gently. Miss Wilson smiled and waved me and my wife off as we left. That was a few weeks ago. Today I got a call from my mother. She was sobbing uncontrollably. It took me a long time to finally figure out what she was saying, and when I did, hell, I didn't know what to think. I sat there at my kitchen table, still in my pajamas, with a plate of jam toast in front of me. My mother told me Miss Wilson had passed away. It appeared she had died several days ago, but no one knew until my mother went for her weekly visit and found a woman slumped over in her chair. There was nothing they could do. I stared at my jam toast and felt numb. "But that's not the worst of it, Mark," my mother sobbed. "What?" I asked. "What, Mom?" "Oh God, Mark, what they found. God, I'm so sorry." She broke down in incoherent sobbing. Eventually, my father took the phone from her and explained what the police had found in Miss Wilson's house when they arrived. "I'm still not sure what to think of it. Son, I hope you're sitting down for this," my father began. No one knew what a crazy, sick bitch she was. I swear." He cleared his throat. It sounded like he was fighting back his own tears. "I'm just sorry we fed you that shit for so long." My eyes immediately went to the jam. My precious jam. Police searched her house and the cellar. They found the area where she made her jam. Jesus, son, it was kids. God damn it. It was kids, her own babies. Turns out, Miss Wilson's jam was homemade in a very literal sense. She had a year before I ever tried her first jam. Gotten pregnant and miscarried at home. Apparently, it created some sort of mental break in her brain. For God knows what reason, she decided to incorporate the baby fetus, whatever, into her jam. She took it with the berries, strained it, and took care to make sure not to have any fragments in the final product. That's why it was clear and free of seeds. It was also why it took so long for her to make her batches. After that first one, she decided to try again with both the pregnancy and when that too ended in a second trimester miscarriage, the jam. For over 20 years, Miss Wilson lived in a cycle of getting herself pregnant, which apparently achieved by acting as a prostitute in the larger neighborhood town and then aborting the pregnancies at home. Sometime between the 12th and 20th week, when the ingredient was large enough to be made into a batch. That was why she only made one batch of jam a year, and why she appeared to age so quickly and harshly. Back-to-back pregnancies will do that to a woman. In the end, when she said her body could no longer support jam making, she was telling the truth. Women in their 50s don't often get pregnant, and Miss Wilson was no exception to that. My parents were horrified. For years, they had been feeding me that stuff. For years, they had been gleefully shoveling this jam into my system, ignorant to the fact that it was made from human remains. They had been so thrilled when I started eating normal food, so thrilled when my 6-year-old me had pointed to that jar of jam and had taken to it eagerly. My mother apologized profusely on the phone through sobs. When the call ended, I looked down at the plate of jam, toast in front of me, studying deep bread spread with its flawlessly smooth consistency and sweet and savory combination of it that had been only food I had ever actually enjoyed in my life. Silently, I rose from my chair and went to the cellar where I stored the box of jams. Miss Wilson made 12 jars out of each batch, and I learned to stretch that out very carefully over the years. I still had 11 remaining. Carefully, I looked through the box, taking out each and every jar and inspecting it as if trying to see the tiny particles of unborn children cooked into each one. At the very bottom, I found an envelope. I reached for it with a shaking hand, pulled out the letter from Miss Wilson. It was short, not saying much, but I smiled to read it all the same. I've always had the issue with food. I don't know why. Most children grow out of it, picky eating, To some extent, I did too. I learned over time that I needed food to live, though eating brings me no joy and often makes me sick if I find a texture or taste I can't stand. Miss Wilson's jam saved me. It has been the first and only food I have ever liked, the only one I will willingly and gladfully eat. And in that envelope that I found at the bottom of my last box of jam, the last batch Miss Wilson made, I found her legacy to me, something she wanted me to have before she died because she said I was a bright spot of her life and she had done this all for me. The sound of my wife moving upstairs managed to reach me in the basement. She's awake, late because she's had a difficult time sleeping lately. While to myself, I put the index card back into the envelope and leave my box of jam in the same place as before. Then I climb the stairs to the kitchen where I find my wife standing at the stove, scrambling eggs. She turns to me and smiles, her hair tousled from sleep, her face serene, not yet twisted up in agony due to her morning sickness. She turns and kisses me, and I feel the soft swell of her brain and stomach against my body. Our last trip home had been to surprise my parents with pregnancy. She's 12 weeks now, so she says it's safe to tell the news, people news. Of course, my parents were thrilled. So was Miss Wilson, which is why I think she left me the recipe. I think if I push her hard enough, I might be able to get my wife to make me some jam. Well, that was the first story. Well, for this is the story for this one. I hope y'all enjoyed it as much as I did. Subscribe and keep on the lookout for more. I should be posting one every 3 days. Sorry for the bad quality on this one. I don't know what happened, but thank y'all for being around and comment down below.